because it's really hot in LA right now, and I only have a 4-fan system where it just circulates the air inside my apartment, and it's like 70 something degrees. But I thought that it'd be a great segue because you just started talking about your paycheck into what we have gathered here to talk about today.
Yay.
Yeah. So hey guys, welcome to this long hiatus of Sorry Asian Parents. I don't know what number this is going to be because it's just been so long since I touched my freaking editing program. Life has been crazy, and so has COVID. COVID is still around, and people are still jobless. So before we go, you guys want to say hi?
Sure.
Lance, you want to go first?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, I'm Lance. I'm Eric's friend and lover.
Hey, and I'm Garrett, and I'm Eric's friend. Jealous, not his lover. Why don't am I not including these things now? What's going on?
You could
Eric,
be.
how come you don't text me back? You Lance
Hey.
now, and all of a sudden we're over. Is that what it is?
Hey, that's what you get for being married, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, does
Hey,
that.
it's 2021, man.
You know the
Yeah.
rules. If you put the ring on, I can't see you because you go invisible.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
gosh.
So what were you saying earlier about your paycheck? Because we were just earlier before we started recording and going, we were talking about living in shitty apartments like mine, like my 250 square foot in K-Town in LA. So it's a troll hole. I'm not gonna lie. These
Dude.
false walls make it look a lot bigger than what it is, or else it would have some weird anime American Pie posters in the background. My two loves. And Britney Spears, no, her I don't want to touch that because she's I'm gonna leave her alone. She's dealing with her own demons. I'm gonna leave her alone.
Leave Britney alone.
I'm gonna leave Britney alone. She's dealing with her own demons. But
Yeah.
But yeah, so you're telling us about your first paycheck and in the shitty apartment.
Yeah, we were talking about shitty apartments and what a transformative experience they are, and like how fun they are. So I'm sure people listening can think about their own, like your first shitty apartment and like what that means. It's like a better version of your first car.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I remember like my first shitty apartment was in Bakersfield, California. And like even before that, I was like Craigslisting and living off of people's like renting rooms and whatnot. So I remember like having my own space in a piece of shit apartment, and how much it sucked in a fun way looking back on it. Like when you're in it, you're like, this kind of sucks, but everyone's in the same spot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and just how much fun that was.
Yeah, I feel like I had a really shitty apartment as well in Van Nuys, California, which is not the best, not the worst, but there was definitely hookers walking by my parking spot, to say the least.
So at least you had a view.
Too much of a view, I'd say. I'd get home late from work, and they're like knocking on my window, and I'm like scared me. I'm like, oh my gosh, like get away! Like, oh my god,
I like dick.
like night walkers. Yeah, literally. But yeah, and then I also realized too that I was also hosting friends quite often in my early 20s when this was happening. Like my spot was kind of the place to go to after work to kick it, or on the weekends. Like I always loved having people over. So, and a lot of them lived with their parents. So even at that time, felt like my place, my shitty little apartment was like their refuge away from their parents to like chill and relax, drink, smoke, whatever, So it's, I don't know, you're right. When in the moment, I was like, God, I can't wait to get a better place. But at the same time, we were living our best lives and doing what we needed to do.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine? Do you remember hosting? Like how much of an adult you felt when you were hosting your friends? Like, yeah, like there's chips in the thing, and like,
there's beer in the fridge. Like, use a fucking coaster. I just got this coffee. Like, I remember buying my first piece of furniture. It was a fucking coffee table,
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow, like, or no, it wasn't a coffee table. It was a leather fucking futon couch, which like I was really obsessed with leather and like glass tables for some reason. Like that was my aesthetic in my early 20s, and I don't know. I loved it. I had cup holders in the center. Like it just felt, I don't know. I was like, wow, I was so proud to have bought this like, $200 couch.
Because it's yours.
Because it's mine.
And,
yeah.
and it's in your living room now.
Yeah.
Yeah, Garrett, you didn't enjoy the those parties that I threw back in college?
So everyone
is
needs
pre-
to go
this is
through
pre-
that. We're talking about phases of life.
This is pre-frat house, by the way, because I know Lance came to the cheese when I was in the frat house. It was, you're right, I enjoyed those times, but it was filth. Except the park was a little bit cleaner, but the frat house was definitely filth. Not only was the house filth, but so were the boys in it, and the things we did.
But like, yeah, I mean, you're 19, you're 20, you're living in a city with 700,000 people packed in 7 square miles. Like, that's just growing up, and like,
yeah. Everybody has their first rodent or their first like roach or something.
Yep.
And it's so fucking horrifying in that moment. You're like, either I'm gross or my neighbors are gross, or like we're both gross. Like something is up and it needs to change.
Everyone is gross.
Like everybody
in
is
their own way.
Totally.
Yeah.
Like I can get roaches out of my place, but they come back because y'all motherfuckers is gross.
Yeah.
So that's a very adult experience, or even using a mouse trap to kill a mouse and actually having that shit like splat, like pick it up, like that is like a coming to age. Like, this is like, there's nobody out here that's gonna come pick this shit up,
No, it's all you.
Yeah.
It's all you.
Well, luckily, if you grew up in poverty, this would be a housewarming experience. Thank you, immigrant parents, for taking me through the trap house. But
shout out.
But that's true though. It depends on how you're raised, right? Because I definitely met some people in college that like never took out the trash before, never even loaded a dishwasher. And I was just like, this is crazy. But I also went to like Santa Monica College, like a city college that's like super wealthy environment, where there's like Maseratis and shit in the parking lot. And I'm like, aren't we all like 18 to like 22-ish, for the most part?
Well, I think I know for like most Asian families, they have a dishwasher. It's called the children. Right. But like if you go to, I'm really in Visalia, like some of the guys, like we don't really use our dishwasher because we're just so used to using our hands to cleaning it.
Totally.
And like using a dishwasher in San Francisco was like a new experience for me because I just, felt comfort doing dishes by hand. It was just something that I always did. So we always keep the clean dishes in the dishwasher. Like, yeah, I mean,
you never actually put them away.
Yeah, right? Those of you in Visalia, if you go to your Asian friend's house, check the dishwasher, see what you see.
That's where all the clean dishes
are. We just leave it there, and we put all like the nice stuff in the cupboards because we don't use
it
because they break. And yeah, it's just like we did what we had to do because we were broke and we were poor. We were just working random jobs. I know I worked at fucking Abercrombie for 10 years at the time, $13 an hour, which I didn't even know how I survived. And then eventually, after graduating, I decided to be a bartender and server for about, I think, 7 years of my life. And
what was that experience like?
It was great. I really enjoyed the people I worked with, except for some managers who were kind of shitty. And of course, like I had a fair amount of like shitty experiences working in the restaurant. But the overall experience was great. I love the people, except for a select few. But it was good. I enjoyed entertaining guests from around the world, meeting them, talking to them, asking them about their life. Hearing, cute British accents. I mean, I don't know what else to say. San Francisco is a really international city, and
absolutely.
I made a fair amount of money, much more than an average person would living in San Francisco. But obviously, I moved down to LA after that, after like 6-7 years, because despite making all that money, I just wasn't happy. So I decided to move. And unfortunately, the moment I decided to chase my dreams, COVID happened. And that that is the same, you know, and that's like the same situation for a lot of people right now.
Absolutely.
Or yeah, even right now, when despite the fact that restrictions have been lifted, you know.
Yeah.
Because I know Lance, you changed careers, right, during this whole pandemic session.
Yeah,
And
last May.
yeah, and Garrett, you stayed as a, I don't know, can we talk about your career? Because I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. So I changed. So we'll take a step back real quick. So during COVID, I was still a classroom teacher and we were all online. Prior to that, I had been in a position working, I was always really interested in education technology. And I don't know how I got so lucky, but I was surrounded and maybe attracted to people that were also in that world. So like there were just so many amazing teachers. So when COVID hit, I had this skill set to be able to teach online, which freed me up to learn a whole bunch of new skills that I thought would like help me take off. So just because I wanted to learn those skills, like I had all this free time. I had just had a kid, and so my kid wouldn't sleep very well. And so when my kid wouldn't sleep unless they were on me, so I would just be searching YouTube videos, and I was really driven to like learn how to edit video. I was, for some reason, learn like how to like play Minecraft and do that. So what ended up happening over COVID is someone came to me in the district that I work for and was like, hey, I kind of want to set up like, we have all these kids at home and I kind of want to set up like a place where they can come and play Minecraft together. And I'm like, I could totally help with that. And then it turned into, I kind of want to set something up so that kids can have like these fun build battles. Like I can help with that. And then that turned into, we want to do a whole school, like a whole district-wide esports thing.
Awesome.
And we're like, every school has an esports team where they can play Minecraft. So, and that was really attractive because like growing up, I had a lot of anxiety, and like having a space where I can kind of hide behind a screen or being able to give that to a kid was super attractive. So recently I just interviewed and got a job in kind of helping more in that role.
Yay, congrats.
And that has been super like nuts. It's been nuts. Like I don't know. And again, it goes back to like, I don't know about you guys, but the older I get, the luckier I seem to get. I don't know about that, but like that's been my trajectory, I guess, going from classroom teacher to this weird new like
a hybrid
helping
role.
kids, and like trying to figure out, I don't know, like I'm just trying to figure out life.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it was luck. You put yourself in that position.
Yeah.
For whatever opportunities to come, you know?
Yeah. Totally. A note that I do want to make though, and maybe this resonates with you, like Eric starting this podcast, is like when you're picking up those new skills, I remember there were multiple instances where like I had work at 7 a.m. and I remember being up at 1 or 2 a.m. and just having the idea of like, oh yeah, like learning this doesn't feel like work. It feels like I'm having a lot of fun. And like my wife, God, my wife's name is Kate. I love her so much because she'll be like, how much sleep did you get last night? She like, there was no like, why aren't you coming to bed? Like,
oh no,
like,
totally.
Yeah, she was just like, I'm like 4 hours. She's like, you poor thing. Oh my goodness. Like, oh my God. Oh yeah. It was just like, why? She's like, you're kind of an idiot, but like, I get it. Like you're having fun. So that was kind of like, did you guys have similar, like Eric, did you have similar experience when you're like right now you're recording 2 different layers of video and audio?
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm gonna be frank, I don't make any money off this. It's just for funsies. It's something I want to do in spare time, because I mean, I'm not going to be sitting at home playing video games all day and like just like do nothing, you know. I wanted to do something aside from writing, you know. And unfortunately, the chances of people reading more than 150 characters is slim to none now compared to what it used to be, because we have so much more media to consume and different type of media. So I just like thought about, how can I transfer the skills that I have to a different stage, or explore what kind of options I have. And I know when I first moved down here, this is pre-COVID. I wanted to get away from San Francisco and start a new life, because I just hated what was going on there. I didn't hate it. It was just it was my time to leave. So I came down here and I contacted an old fraternity brother who helped me get somewhat of a job for a television studio. But it was the same week when I got the job. It was the same week where COVID hit and everything shut down. So obviously they canceled all the new contracts, and basically I lost that opportunity. And I was sitting around my room and I was writing all these articles, like all these like news, comedy, humor, news kind of articles. And actually, one of them I talked about remote learning and how it just exacerbated the problems in America when it comes to income inequality and race division and all stuff. But all the articles I wrote were like 3,000, 4,000 words, and trying to get people to read that was a challenge. Mm-hmm. And luckily, the people who did read it enjoyed it. So I just thought to myself, like, what can I do to take this skill set and try to reach a different type of audience? And I thought that YouTube was the best way. I enjoy doing YouTube, and I enjoy talking. So I just thought, why not take whatever I wrote and try to put it to the screen? So that's how I pivoted this way. And obviously, I don't make any money from it. It's just something I'm doing for fun right now. But if it wasn't for the pandemic, I probably wouldn't have this opportunity.
Totally.
Yeah. And all this free time, you know, instead of just, you know, playing video games and playing with myself, I decided to learn a new skill. You know, I took all the money that I saved up. I bought a PC. I learned through
trial and error.
Learned to try and error. I want to thank my friend Alan for helping me with my first PC, and I want to thank my friend Brian for helping me with my second PC. And I just learned to video edit. I learned to do different things on the computer, and you know, shout out to Mr. Alec Tech and Casey Ferris for your guys' tutorial videos, because it's helping out a lot. So I had to learn this whole new skill set, and you know, I've always been interested in computers and videos. Like, I mean, I'm no Sean Lynch style. You know, he has his movie actually just came out at a film festival. So shout out to Sean. What is it? Red Snow? I think that was his movie.
Yeah.
But I've always been interested in like videos, you know, or just telling a story. And it came from I think it was like that stupid MTV show, Dorm Life or something. Was that it? or just movies. I've always been interested in movies. You know, it's no lie that I love American Pie. It was a movie that helped shape my youth. And so I thought, why not carry a camera around? Because you remember Garrett for a while, I carried on that camera. It was filming stuff that probably shouldn't have been filmed. But, you know, that. So I wanted to go back and explore a passion that I had, which is like telling stories. It's the same thing with my degree. You know, I wanted to tell stories and entertain. And I think video was another medium to exercise that a craft.
Totally. I love that, like you're a writer, you know, at heart, and I
have a degree that cost me $30K. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. You are. And like I feel like it transfers very well into the new age technology, you know, of podcasting and videos and everything, because even when we were at a bar or at a restaurant, like, you tell really good stories in person, you know, so you you genuinely have that skill and talent. And I think it's a craft, just like many other crafts, that the more you work at it, the better you get at it, you know? And it's kind of like riding a bike as well. Like you can definitely dust off the cobwebs and just kind of like get going. And you're like, oh yeah, I forgot about, oh yeah, like this is these tropes or these different types of themes that these styles that I used to write in, you know? It's a very different thing. And it's the same kind of in a conversation, right? Being able to relate with other people. That's why I think COVID's kind of been so hard as well, right? Is that without that social outlet, there's like it definitely was getting back on the bike at first for a few conversations and just like trying to be social with people without exactly mentioning COVID or whatever. But I don't know.
Plague.
Yeah, plague. Yeah, exactly.
The plague. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I guess for me, I was at a company for 5 years. It was a startup incubator. We invested in dozens of companies, and a lot of them got acquired. So we were very successful. Each year, I pretty much increased my salary by like 25 to 30% for 5 years. So it was like by the time I left, I was like, cool. Like this is definitely the ceiling here, but I'm happy that I've got it this far. But I loved the people I worked with so much. But I graduated college in that 5th year with a business degree, and then I decided like, okay, I need to get my first adult job out of college. Like, you know, I was kind of I came in as a mid entry level at this job, and now I'm leaving as like a director. So I need to, you know, make my next move. And I joined a video game company in May of last year, and it was the first time, first of all, that I had like I gave myself, it was a 2 weeks notice, but I had a 1 week break. You know, so I had a 1 week break between jobs for the first time in 5 years, and wow, that was like life changing. Let me just tell you, if there's ever an opportunity to like take a break between a job, even if it's just like 5 days, 6 days, do it. It's a lot. But yeah, working in video games is super different. It's a global company. We're over 700 people. And I went before at the startup, it was like, you know, 25 people managing the assets of 125. So it's a very large scale thing, and that's what I asked for. But I'm the studio manager. So my job is based around facilities and operations and culture and well-being and all these other things, right? Like HR, legal, finance. But like my core function is about the studio, and that's where nobody is, right? Because we're all working from home, and we have been for the past like 15 months. So I interviewed in a very hustle and bustle studio with people everywhere and like a super fun environment. And then by the time I got hired in like April, you know, I was basically like healthcare administration, mitigation of risk, healthcare policies, like the whole role had completely shifted from kind of what I had initially signed up for. I wanted to do like holiday parties and summer events and fucking, you know, fun stuff. So I took it seriously. I took the role still. I'm still here. It's been almost a year and a half, and it just feels very much like COVID is starting to regress a bit now. And we're I'm like, we're not going to come back for still like some time. And I don't know how long I can just wait without that feeling of like seeing my work come through to fruition for people.
Yeah.
You know?
So I guess for you, Garrett, the opportunity came and presented itself, right? And for you, Lance, you seeked a new opportunity.
Totally.
How was that like? You know, what was it scary? Like, or did you also felt like it was time for you to leave?
No, it definitely was like that time. I think like basically in my 4th year, I asked for a pretty crazy salary, you know, and like the CEO, he was just like, you know, we'll give you the salary, but like this is it, like this is like the top, this is how far we can go, you know. And he's like, but you have to stay for another year, you know. So so I stayed for 1 more year, and I made the money while I finished school. And then I decided like, yeah, like it's time for me to spread my wings. Like I'm definitely in my comfort zone here. I'm not learning anything anymore. I love the people, and they make it so hard to leave. Like some of these companies where it's like these, especially if you have kids and like you're settled down, like it's very like comfortable and convenient, and you know the job, you can do it in your sleep. But I needed I needed to challenge myself and recognize that like there were some skills that I was just never going to get there, right? Like people management. I was a one-man operation running the whole 4-story building, basically all the vendors, all the people like by myself. And without the building aspect of it, my job was kind of obsolete. So when COVID hit in March, when I got everybody home safely and working from home with technology and everything at my previous company, it was like my role really shrunk into more of like virtual happy hours and helping with social media stuff and a little bit of marketing stuff. And like without a building of people, it just was very different versus at where I am now. My role, my core function is facilities and operations, but I have a facilities manager on my staff who does that for me. I manage the budget of $1 million, right? Like I do renovation projects and like really higher level kind of project management stuff, and things that I would never have got the opportunity to do at my previous company. But it is so challenging. Like I'm constantly on LinkedIn learning or like looking up shit on YouTube, trying to like wrap my brain around some things that, nobody would know stepping into the world. There's always going to be things that you don't know, even as skilled as you are, right? And it's totally okay it's always okay to continue learning and trying new things. But I just think the learning curve was super high here because it's trial by fire. Like there's no mentorship. It's just like, sink or swim. We need you to go in there and crush it. And luckily I've been pretty successful here in that way because working at a startup, you're kind of like groomed for that, but you're trying to make things better so that it doesn't feel like the world's on fire anymore all the time, right? That's the ultimate goal. And it can feel very futile when you are 700 people and you're like one of only 4 people with the same role, just in different locations around the world, all trying to work on things. But when you're building a video game, it's about the engineers and dev, and that's the core focus. And I tell them, I'm like, you're building a video game, we're building a company, So that means we deal with things like employee engagement and emotional intelligence and diversity, equity, inclusion, and employee relation issues and all kinds of stuff that is so far beyond facilities things. And that's really why I left and why I know I made the right decision to leave when I did, and now I've learned more now than I asked for, but I'm here for it still. So.
Yeah. And like Garrett, like, I feel like even without COVID, the whole Minecraft thing, I don't play Minecraft, but I know of it. It probably would have happened anyways. But do you think that COVID kind of expedited that process? The esports, because I know esports is getting bigger in America. I know some schools, especially colleges, have esports league. Actually, as of state had a StarCraft league.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, that was crazy. This is back when like
nuts.
Only Koreans and virgins played StarCraft. I was kind of both, I guess, because I look Korean. But yeah, I mean, I think it would have happened anyways. But because of COVID, that opportunity came much faster, right?
I think it was like, I mean, Lance was talking about like social emotional intelligence, and I think, and Lance, maybe you can speak to this, but like you're looking for new ways to socialize online. Otherwise, you're just a person staring at a box. And when you're 9 years old and you already have to stare at a box for 6 hours, like you need something. So like, I didn't like, I think Minecraft would have exacerbated, like COVID absolutely exacerbated the situation. And I think that Minecraft was a great stage to set. But something I found super interesting is the way that both kids and adults are longing to interact with other people that they cannot access in real life anymore. So, like when you're gaming with people online, it's this weird thing where you feel like you know them. You feel like you have you're developing these really cool friendships and communication styles, and you've never met in real life.
Mm-hmm.
And so, growing up, I think it's really valuable for that kid that has a little bit of anxiety and like would never ever try out for the soccer team or try out for the football team. It's just too overwhelming. So I was excited to be like, I can help with this. I can totally help with this. And I think that's been a super interesting route. Like Eric, like I often wonder, I've been listening to these podcasts and they're great. They're so well thought out. Do you think that what part of this podcast has been, and if you don't want to answer it, we don't have to answer it, but what part of this podcast has been you wanting to start a podcast and you just looking for a perfect excuse to talk to your friends? Because I would never jump on a phone call, but like when you're like, did you want to like do a podcast? I'm like, yeah, sure. Yeah. I'd be happy to, of course. Yeah, let's do that. I think that's so fascinating.
I mean, like,
so true.
Yeah. I wouldn't, I mean, you're right. And except for the well thought out part, like, I don't know if this is well thought out at all. I think a lot of it, I mean, I write like a blueprint to what we're talking about. I do a little bit of research, but a lot of it is like winging it. Like some of the questions I asked so far actually wasn't even on the document that I wrote. I think Lance has a document, but I uploaded it today. It's for me, I'm a really social person, and it's shown because I was a bartender for so long and I just enjoy the company of people. Oh yeah, I also like to be alone too, which is probably why I have my hole. And I do crave that kind of attention, you know, and I play video games and also online video games where I do talk to people, but it was just something where, all right, I enjoyed this part of my life. Like, what else can I do with it, you know? And so I pivoted and I come.
Ooh, spooky.
Did that thing run out?
You can handle that if you need to handle that.
No, it's just, I think, did my light burn out? Give me 1 second.
Well,
yeah, the bulb burnt out.
Okay.
It happens, man.
Yeah, we can still see you.
Yeah. So
yeah, you have like this cool two-tone thing. Yeah, I would keep it like this. You got this this like half lit thing now going.
Yeah. So I thought, how do I combine something that I think I'm naturally good at with something I want to do? And and I think that's how I came with podcasts. Like, I started watching the Trash Taste podcast, which is an anime podcast, right? And I just put it on because it filled a certain void that I didn't have due to the fact that we were all quarantining. And I was like, wait, no, what the hell? No, I came out the podcast first. Oh man, so I take that back.
It's okay.
I started. Why did I even start the podcast? Oh, it's because I was talking to my buddy's wife, and she was like, you should totally meet up with our friend Seth. And so my buddy Seth and I were talking like, hey, we should totally just do a podcast where we just tell dick jokes and just bullshit, right? And we did, and then obviously our lives kind of we're still friends, we're still really good friends, but he's doing different things, I'm doing different things. So I wanted to continue this, and obviously I'm not a famous person, nor am I a sexy thought on TikTok, right? But I thought
could be.
Right.
Could be.
no one's stopping you.
Well, I'm trying to get these yams to that size first, but but I was like, all right, well, I might as well con my friends in helping me with this because I have interesting friends, and I don't want this to come out as a brag, but I think I'm really good at making personal connections with great people, and all the people in my life are interesting people, which is why I keep them around. Not because I want to use you for entertainment, but because you're just, you know, everybody, everybody's like a snowflake. You know, there's everybody has a certain special nick and knack about them where
Yeah.
it just makes them special. And I think that's true for everyone, even though some people might not believe it. But I have these people, and I was like, you know what? Might as well put my friends on blast. You know, they're all smart, they're funny, they have great careers, like teacher of Minecraft, which is a weird sentence to put together, and a video game guy who runs a building. Like, I can't really talk about your company, but you make sure that people survive in the building, or at least has like Pepsi in a vending machine or something. You know,
we do that too. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
So
coffee.
You're just the guy, Lance. It's just like,
yeah, fill in the blank. I'm that guy.
yeah.
That's how it was in my previous company too. I was that guy there. You just kind of, you know, fill in
The
all the
Pepsi guy.
spaces and gaps that everybody's dropping the balls in.
Your own business card?
I do.
Can you talk about what it was like to get your first adult business card?
Oh my God, yeah. So I didn't have a business card at my previous company, even though I was the director of operations there, right? But here, and it happens like that because like you start off in their eyes at a certain level, and even when you develop in a certain place, you never really, they still see you in that way as like not lowly, but just kind of like, oh, we know you, we ask you for everything, but we also ask you for everything. Can you please go to the toilet? You know, stuff like that. But getting your first business card, I think here I got my first office and my first business card, you know, and like that was like the executive assistant of my boss reached out to me and was like, oh, like here's a few different design options, pick which ones you want. There's some that have texture, there's some that don't. Like, she gave me the whole rundown. And I just thought it was such a, I was like, wow, like I'm a senior manager. Like this is real, you know? Like I'm gonna have a team and have to work on their career development. It really started like confirming a lot of my, not power, but just like the hierarchy and the position that I'm in, you know? And the responsibility I have to my employees to make sure that I'm doing a good job. But it just like, it felt very adult, and it's a video game company, so our cards are pretty fucking sick. Not gonna lie, you know, like it's got like fucking planets on it and like rockets and shit. And I'm like, okay, yeah, like this is like I feel confident handing this out to someone if I were at a networking event or a conference or like just out in public or whatever, you know. It's like it made me feel good, you know. But at the same time, I will say it's not what you learn as you get older and as you mature is that it's not just about the business card, right? It's so much more than that, and it's like
it's about who's handing it out.
Yeah, it's about, for me, it's like when rubber meets the road. Like, are you able to rise to the occasion? It's like, I mean, the Olympics just happened, right? And I love that the conversation about mental health and everything is happening, and it's super important. But life has a lot of moments where like it is sink or swim, you know, and a lot of people don't have the luxury to bow out, you know, and it's so important that we start to change that that privilege, right? But it's, you know, I feel very grateful and blessed to be in the position I am, but I also know that like, you know, there's other options out there, right? And people like, we can't feel stuck in wherever we are. That's like my big thing. So the business card, it confirms for me my position and my title, and it was awesome. But it also recognizes for me that like, you know, your name is not on the top of this business card, right? You're still working for the man whose name is on the top of this business card.
Yeah.
But like I think as I get older, my definition of success changes.
Totally.
Like when we're young, like I remember being like millions of dollars and like big houses,
Bang hot
fountains.
chicks.
Yeah.
18-year-olds forever.
I don't know about that, but
yeah.
like,
oh my God.
It was a different time. It was a different time.
Yeah.
It was a different time. All right.
But like as I get older, I'm like, so like in my schooling, I went back and got my master's, and I had an opportunity to take some money for like a 50-hour week, no vacation, like you grind it out for a few years and you'll make some good money. And I remember like talking with Kate about it and just being like, I remember driving through a nice neighborhood and being like, do you want this? And she's like, and having that conversation of like, no, because it's so much like, what's the point?
Mm-hmm.
So like, I find that like having cool things like your business card is dope. And like friends that are buying nice new trucks is dope. But like, I feel like really as you get older, having some intentionality and like figuring out when your dreams are turning into nightmares and like being like, all right, let's go ahead and change that. Like like Eric, you spoke earlier about like being a bartender and like being in that world and loving it. And then slowly as the years go by, you're like, is this what I thought I would be doing 5 years from now? And
yeah, it's like,
can I see myself doing this 5 years from now?
yeah, it's
Like
just,
how is that? How did that change for you come about, going from like I love my job to like I gotta go?
yeah, one word: hangovers. That's the
Dude,
key
they're
difference,
so
right?
bad. They're
I also
That's the key difference.
But Eric, I also think it's like friends getting older as well, and the people that going out to the bars or would normally be there are not there, and the crowd is younger again, and it's like the cycle of like crowds getting older and phasing out, and then like new crowds coming in, and partying with like younger people, and realizing that you're older and like you can't hang like them,
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
I think
it's just like, like you're right. It's just like I'll go to the same bars, and the only same faces I'll see are people who still work in the industry, right? And I mean, I'm an ageist. I don't discriminate against age. I hang out with anybody as long as you're over 18 with a fake ID. It's as long as you're of legal age. And it's everybody grows up. Although I will say, like, because right now what does pay the bills is I work in a ramen restaurant which plays anime. The money that I make at this restaurant is significantly lower than what I used to make in San Francisco. Like I was making good money and I had health insurance, and I gave all that up to talk to my friends online and work in a ramen restaurant that plays anime, and just like the food of the restaurant is great. I like it, but I enjoy the people that work there, and talking to people about anime is just something that I really do enjoy, compared to like, it's not to say I don't like or didn't enjoy the frequent flux of tourists. I still enjoyed that. Yeah,
it's a whole but that's a whole different thing.
Yeah,
it's like San Francisco tourist versus like hole in the wall Cape Town spot.
I think they're real people. Like I think what
I do miss the
fulfills
cuties
you
though, dude.
has
The
changed.
cuties off that plane. It was I miss them a lot. But it's what was I saying before I started thinking about cuties?
Talking about how you shifted, and you're like, like what fulfills you has changed.
So like ramen.
Oh yeah, so like it's just like you just get a little older and you just want different things. I think I've always had the same goal, the same dream, to work in some sort of field where I'm entertaining and kind of teaching, I guess. I wouldn't really call it teaching, but like I always want to work in the field of entertainment somehow, writing, comedy. I guess YouTubing, so that has never changed. So when San Francisco kind of ran its course and there was nothing there for me anymore, because I was still working with nightlife and writing blogs and stuff, and I just kind of, like Lance did, saw the ceiling, and I was like, I'm either going to go 100% in the nightlife entertainment business, or I want something else. And I wanted something else. I wanted to not be stuck in that field. So that's when I realized one day when I woke up, I was like, I think I'm ready to move on and do something different that I want to do. Like, because my dream never changed, but how to achieve my goals and dreams did change. And actually it changed twice, you know, because my initial method of wanting to do what I want to do compared to what happened post-COVID.
So if there's that takes a ton of courage. Like that's a super tough decision. Was there like a mindset that like helped you go from like I gotta get out of here, and like yes, of course, like you could still be there and you could probably still be happy.
Mhm.
Like what if someone's struggling with that decision right now? What advice would you give to that person that's like I feel like I reached my ceiling, but I like the people I work with, and it's kind of fun. And like, sometimes they let me leave early on Fridays, and they buy me pizza once a month. Like,
I show up to work hungover.
yeah,
It's all chill, man. It's chill. It's yeah. So it's a common thing right now, especially with people our age. We're starting to see that where we were, we might not particularly be happy or fully happy. It's complacent. We're complacent, and I think that, well, for me, I've always wanted more. You know, I wanted more out of life. I wanted more out of the ability for myself. I wanted more for my family. I wanted more for my friends. Like, I want to do more.
But that's
And
the American
that
way.
was
Just
yeah,
saying.
yeah, America. You know, America. But
America.
no, I'm not gonna say that joke. But anyways, it's like
God bless you, America.
it's like I've always wanted more, and I always knew that my time in San Francisco was limited because it didn't have the entertainment opportunities that it did in San Francisco. And for me, that's what it was. Like, I wanted more, and I know more. I know a lot of people our age, a lot of millennials also want more, which is why there's a huge number of people not going back to McDonald's or not going back to whatever person they work for. Some people have started their own business. Some people started chasing their dreams. Some people even went back to school to choose to find a new career. And it's just a common thing. If once I get the number, I'll put it on the screen or whatever. But for any advice for them, I've always tell people, because if people ask me that question a lot, is like, how did it make that mindset? Is like, I always tell people, like, if you're ever thinking about switching careers or doing something different, you always just ask yourself, like, what am I doing right now? Is it making me happy? Am I happy? And if you say yes, maybe stay a little bit longer, you know, see where that will take you. But if you hesitate to say yes, and if it's a maybe or no, then you got to move on.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not happy or you're not enjoying what you're doing right now, it's an internal sign to say, hey, let's go explore something else. Let's try to find a way to better ourselves, you know, or don't, you know, do whatever you want to do. I'm not your life coach. It's you got to do whatever makes you happy. Like, it could be money. It could be a crypto scam. I don't know. It could hashtag save the kids. It could be, I don't know, posting sexy pictures on TikTok or Instagram. Do whatever that makes you happy. OnlyFans.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that, you know. Just gotta like do whatever makes you happy. And
but do you feel like, I feel like that's such a generational thing, though, you know, where it's like, do what makes you happy versus like do what's gonna feed your family, do what's gonna raise your kids, do what's going to, you know, raise you. You know, it's a different thing. I think we've kind of unlocked a certain mental awakening. COVID has only reinforced it, where we're spending, if you are staying at home and you have a family, you've seen your family more in the past year and a half than you probably have in their entire life, you know, if you live together, right? And that has driven some people apart, but a lot of people, it's really kind of reinforced a lot of these family dynamics and these bonds, and like that people are not just going to give that up very freely. We have employees right now that are like, you know, I haven't had lunch with my children for the first 9 years of their life, and now I really got to do that every day for a year. And if there's any way that I can even do this 2 or 3 days out of the week, and continue working from home and coming in the afternoon, or switch, flexi time in the morning or whatever, then like, do we have the flexibility? And we've been trying to say yes to a lot of these things, right?
Yeah.
Because we recognize that like that is how evolution of life and work you can't try to force it to be a pre-COVID thing. You got to kind of roll through this new awakening.
Because like there's like a good number of people who are choosing to work remotely now, right?
Yeah, but there's a lot more remote jobs, right? I mean, 4 point some of the odd million people left their job in April. That's like the largest ever in American history. You don't leave a job unless you feel like you can go get another one, you know?
Or make your own.
Or make your, and that's what I mean.
Or
like
unhappy.
Or you're so unhappy and you're like, I'll take the unemployment until it runs out or whatever,
Yeah, I mean, what's it? The unemployment rate right now went back up to 8% because with things opening back up again, I think most people are like, do I want to go back to work at McDonald's? It's just like, hell no.
Not for the wage that they're paying people. I think it's like there's a conversation happening, as we all know right now, where it's like, yes, restaurants and business, like service industry jobs need to be paid higher, especially in some other states that are not California. It's literally like $7.25 an hour,
I think in California, I looked up this number last night. In California, they say 30% of restaurants aren't going to open back up again. But this report came out in August 2020, so the number could be higher or lower. I don't know. But a lot of restaurant jobs did close down, and a lot of services did close down too. And the things we're starting to see is like jobs where we didn't put a lot of focus on or emphasis on have now grown bigger. Like I saw that. Obviously, I think YouTubing is one of them, or just being a life coach. Like I never thought of a life coach as a flourishing job, but life coaching is a new field that's going bigger. Or IT and tech, because kids need to do Minecraft tournaments, and things like that are getting bigger. Like
we had our best year ever last year as a company, because people were looking for that escapism, and they were looking for something that they could and spend hours on, and it's an MMORPG. So, there's plenty.
It's not Blizzard. Yeah. It's not Blizzard.
It's not, good. It's not Blizzard. It's not.
Don't go after Lance. He's a good boy.
But it's this idea, and I used to play World of Warcraft. I was a huge fan. I played for 6 years of my life, and sold my soul like everybody else to that game. Hours of my life. And
I didn't.
Why I wanted to play why I wanted to work in video games is because I had that passion as a youngster. But yeah, I just going back for a second to the idea that we're, giving people advice, about the direction they should go. Like I felt the pressure to jump, and because I felt that complacency with myself as well. I even though I enjoyed the people I worked with and I was happy, the drive in me wasn't happy, and I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that when I worked and went to school for 7 years in order to earn my bachelor's degree, right? So I was commuting to Long Beach from LA, and like it was like a constant balancing of plates, and then when life slowed down and I had free time on my hands, I recognized that like I'm disciplined, but I'm not a self-starter in the way that I need to for my own self. I can do it for an employer, but when it comes to my own things, other than like, make big life decisions, but even things like laundry, it's hard for me to like self-start and get that going, but it's more so like I can manage a whole renovation project, but when it comes to like, learning this fucking PMP exam prep, book that I have on my desk, it's like that's super hard for me to sit and like drill this in for like 2 or 3 hours, right? Because I feel like I'm still like PTSD from college because it's not that long ago. But yeah, and so during COVID, it's like I focused more on like my workout and my health and fitness journey, and I got a personal trainer like about 2 or 3 months into the pandemic, and we worked out 3 or 4 days a week for an hour each day, and I really started feeling less sedentary and feeling more, some of like the strongest I'd ever been was kind of at certain peak points of quarantine physically, and that was also because my mental health was kind of struggling as well, just with like, being at home and also being a social person like Eric too. I needed like an outlet. So I didn't like teach myself something per se, but I just kind of channeled that energy towards trying to find a healthy outlet that wasn't like smoking, vaping, like
because it's easy to do.
Yeah, it's like it's too easy to do,
Yeah. Actually, I actually kind of, I've always been on and off drinking because I'm a social drinker. But when I moved here, I had like a month or two of like free time where I was hanging out with all my friends. So I drank a lot. But when quarantine happened, I didn't drink for a long time. And for me, it was like because there's no social aspect to it, I just didn't want to drink. But that's just like another side thing. But
I feel like Zoom happy hours was like so popular though. But I was drinking more.
I didn't drink. I mean, during those times, I didn't drink because I thought drinking by myself was a waste of time. Because I don't enjoy being buzzed, but I do enjoy being fucked up at a festival or fucked up at a party. It's like I'm either gonna go sober or I'm all in.
Totally.
Yeah. Both of you guys have seen me all in. Garrett has probably seen all in Eric more than Lance has, because all in Eric is a different type of Eric. He's fisting walls and stuff.
Oh, that's great. I love it. But you're getting in trouble.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, dude, we'll talk about this after. But so for you, Garrett, so you kind of came in with the skill set, right, for this position you're in. So you really, so I know you're still learning a little bit here and there. I was wondering, like, how hard was it for other teachers around you who didn't have that skill set yet to pivot towards more of a remote thing, or who weren't ready for that change from COVID?
It's a great question, and I think there's kind of two things that I want to explore. The first is having a skill set that people don't understand, and because they don't understand, writing you off. And I don't know if you guys, so the reason why, so I had worked in for a little bit and then for a little bit, and are like super progressive districts where everything is a little bit more open, communication is a little bit faster through departments, everything's a little bit more snappy. And then I moved, and it has given me every opportunity that I stepped up to. But the way it communicates, it's not as progressive. It's a little bit more traditional. So, so when I joined these teams, I was used to like this super snappy, open flowing environment of communication where there was these networks of people and like ideas were a little bit more free flowing. Whereas in like, this is the way we do it because we're so big. They're such a big company. They just have to do it that way. They have to have these routines and procedures in place. And so I came in basically having to rebuild the trust that I had been so freely given in these other districts that had known me and had seen some of the work I'd done. I'd done a couple presentations. So moving into this new position, it's one thing to have that skill set. It's another thing to have to be in a space where people are able to look at it with curiosity rather than judgment. So that was a wall that I like really ran up against.
Would you say like the school district that you work for, I'm just gonna not say names, would you say that they are a bit timid when it comes to using new technology? Is that what you're saying? Or
super?
Wow.
So
what are they like running Windows XP?
So it was like, yeah, we do Microsoft. Microsoft is what we do, which is kind of, it took me a while to like figure out like, all right, if I'm going to exist in this space and do something fulfilling, I have to learn a new set of rules. And like Lance, you were talking about like the drive that it takes to like just pick up that big stupid orange book and be like, all right, this is the new set of rules after being so successful previously, and having to like, all right, like one more in the loss of a previous success that you've had in order to jump to something new. So that was something that like there was a skill set there, but like if you have a management team in place that isn't open to that skill set or doesn't know how to utilize that skill set for whatever reason, maybe they have their own marching orders and maybe some of that communication is concealed from you. Like I ran into that a couple times before landing in this position, and it was super frustrating being told, like as a well-vetted professional, no, you have to do it this way, rather than being met with that curiosity of like,
oh, we
how are
hired
you doing
you
this?
and we
Yeah,
would like you to add value and new ideas and creative thought into our life, you know?
as long
Like,
as you do it in this lane. As
totally.
long as,
Yeah.
so I'll tell you an interesting story that I had pre-COVID and then in COVID is, again, I was at a school site and I was working with a principal, and this principal came in one day, and what she saw was she saw every laptop up and students were working on this thing called Padlet, which is being able to see everyone's responses in real time and then being able for students to comment on different responses. And she's like, you need to shut that down. You need to pick up and make sure that you are on this specific page of this specific program like your colleagues are.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Which is super interesting because then COVID happened, and I remember her leading a PL using the very same platform that she told me not to use, saying, oh my goodness, I found this amazing platform.
Oh, God. Seriously.
And I'm just like, okay.
It's like that. Wow. You're just going to steal the idea. I mean,
after getting someone in trouble, after I was like reprimanded. For so trying to turn that into an opportunity and being like, all right, like how do you earn someone's trust like that? And so it took a little bit, but by the end of a couple of years, I was like, hey, I'm gonna fly a drone around this thing. And it was just like, you know, let me step in, like if you can trust me just a little bit, I'll give you a bunch of clout. So having to like work with adults that maybe don't understand your skill set or don't understand your vision is super crippling, which is why I feel super fortunate to work in the department that I do now, where everyone just kind of understands like I can do video, I learned how to do InDesign, I learned how to do Photoshop, and I learned, so like this is Garrett, and he's kind of weird. Like he's kind of like, yes, he was in education, but like he's got this extra weird thing, and we're going to hold him in that space, and we're going to be able to use that in a specific way. I think when you have adults that like, when you learn to work with adults that are willing to trust you and be like, he's this person that just kind of owns this weird skill set, and like I kind of respect him for that, and so I'm gonna kind of like let him do his thing. Yeah. And I'm like, if you can let me do my thing, I'm gonna make your life so easy, like so easy.
But that's such an adult thought, Garrett. You know, that's such a mature, real conversation. That's what you learn kind of in business school and like psychological business classes, is that idea that like, you know, not everybody is going to be up here, like at the high, like, or not everybody needs to be at the lowest level. Like, see people, meet people where they are and elevate them up, you know, and like you do that by tapping into their skill set or things that they're passionate about.
Yeah.
And really creating an environment for them to be their best selves and ultimately do their best work in order to ultimately add that much more value to your organization. But
Yeah.
if you're not thinking holistically like that,
Yeah.
then like you create an environment that is quite the opposite of that very easily.
And it's not successful.
No,
It comes
it's
back to
not.
ultimately cannibalize you. Like,
Absolutely.
it's so crazy. So like we were talking about business cards earlier, and I was looking at the business card on a table for this new department that I work at, and I just offhandedly said like, I think I might be able to make this better.
Mhm.
And I knew that I was in a space that was really valuable when my director, whom I will now lay down in traffic for, it was just like, okay, go for it. Like, can you have it to me maybe by next week? And just let's just if we
Just
run
do
with
it.
it, we run with it. But if not, like, your work, I know what your workflow is right now. Just rip it and
Mhm.
we'll see where it goes from there. Like, I'm like, you don't have to use this. You don't have to do anything. And I remember sending her the first revision. She's like, I kind of want to change this, this, and this. I'm like, absolutely. And we've gone through 4 or 5 revisions. She's like, is this annoying to you? I'm like, no, it's not. It's super, like, anytime you give me feedback, I'm really excited because you've put me in a space to like flex these skills that I have been dying to use. Like, and when
Totally.
you have an adult doing that, like, one, you're in a right place, and two, that you're with the right people, which as I get older is just, it's not so much, it's searching to surround yourself with people that will sustain you, which again, in this pandemic, Lance, I don't know, like, if you could speak to this, but like, when you are in a new position, finding your people that
is
are
so
going to
important.
sustain you.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Doing it virtually has been incredibly challenging,
Yeah.
and it's like even things like body language or sarcasm or just nuance in general, also being able to overhear conversations, see how other people interact that work on different teams or have history in the studio together. Like I miss out on all of that, So, and everything is very transactional, right? It's a call. We're setting up a meeting. It's a sync, you drop something in the calendar. You can't just run into this person's office and be like,
Yeah.
hey, do you want to grab lunch? Or you're at the
Yeah.
coffee machine and you have the water cooler chat or whatever, all that stuff is just really not there. So it creates this feeling of being on an island in my living room.
Yeah.
I'm working staring at this box and trying to and truly am getting things done and hitting my deadlines and everything, but it just kind of feels like you're putting it on the conveyor belt and it's just being sent off, and who knows if it's helping or not. Like,
Yeah.
I'm here,
Yeah.
but I also think there's something to say about really coming together and working as a team and staying up late in the office together, grinding out an idea or grinding out a certain, whiteboarding and post-its and like all these different things. Like that is what I really miss, is that type of bonding, and then going out to get a beer afterwards, right?
Yeah.
The camaraderie.
Camaraderie,
Yeah.
absolutely,
Yeah.
because we're more than just our jobs, and right now it's very much like we're just our jobs virtually, right?
Yeah.
You don't really, even if you have virtual happy hours, it's like you wouldn't want to do it with your coworkers. You probably want to do it with your friends,
Yeah.
because you're not even seeing them as much as you would like. So I don't know. It's a tough one because joining during the pandemic and now having it go this long, I definitely feel fatigued by it, because I get a shot of dopamine when I help people and I can see the look on their face and they're like,
Yeah.
wow, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to like stop what you were doing and come fix this random thing I needed you to, or something that it takes me 2 seconds where they would fumble through the software to get it done,
Yeah.
Like I love being that level of support. I love my role of support. That's why I chose my career in operations, is because I understand myself in that way, that like I like helping people. I was a nursing assistant like as one of my first jobs, and before that I was a nanny of 2 little boys, like 0 years old and 2 years old.
Love it.
So like for that to have transformed into me now managing like staff at a giant video game company, and like
Yeah.
has helped me create the empathy and the openness to give people space and room to talk about very challenging things or things that have nothing to do with work. It's really, people see that through the screen, and I hope that I can give that to them through the screen, and they truly understand that I'm there for them. But it's when you're in person, you can truly like experience that, you know. And it's at a disservice to myself and my staff that like we can't have those in-person moments yet, the way that we'd like to, but we do our best. But it is just very different.
What has been the biggest challenge being in your, like, what has been the biggest change in your leadership being in an online environment? Like, what's the thing that most affects you and your ability to lead?
It's definitely the amount of communication. Like we have a lot of it, but the email, like I get so many emails all the time, and we're global, right? The headquarters is in LA. We have a studio in Austin, Texas, 2 hours ahead.
Timing.
In the UK, which is forever ahead, and then we have a studio in Germany, which is even more ahead than they are. So that means at 11:30, like in 23 minutes, I'm gonna start getting emails about what's going on tomorrow in their day today, you know? Which means when I wake up in the morning, my notification screen is like hella crazy. Just blown up, you know? And that's what creates the anxiety, right? So like there's a certain amount in terms of leadership, like being able to create boundaries to protect myself and my mental health and my well-being, and realizing that like I cannot pour from an empty cup. Like I have to, you know, make sure that I'm keeping myself in line and not just discipline, but like having fun and balance and doing things that I want to do instead of things that I always need to do or I'm required to do every waking moment of the day, you know? So, you know, because before I would just go, sleep for 4 hours, whatever, you know, wake up and roll into the meeting. And I don't know, it just felt like a different thing. Now I really need to like prepare myself to go to bed, give myself space to wake up in the morning, give myself space to go work out and time to go work out, and like, you know, talk to my therapist, talk to my parents and connect with my family, right? And friends, and actually go hang out and have a good time. And realize that all of these things are helping me keep my sanity, which helps me keep my employees' sanity and helps me be a better leader in my organization and in life in general, you know?
Oh yeah. You could just spend all day just slinging emails.
Oh,
like you just turn into this email monster.
Oh my God. Before I got off work, I finished work at 7:15 at the office, you know, like physically at the office. And then I did emails from about 2:30 p.m. until 7, like straight up 5 hours. But I hadn't done emails in like a week and a half because I was like putting out fires just reacting to the day-to-day stuff. So I was like, if I don't touch these, then like who's gonna provide feedback on these initiatives? It's just like waiting for feedback, you know. It's crazy.
It's like that meme where was it Courage the Cowardly Dog is just sitting there and it's like I'm fine, and the whole building is fine. Everything's on fire.
Totally, everything's on fire, but this is fine. Yeah,
this is
totally.
fine. Everything's fine.
Oh man, that's how it feels a lot of the time. But I'm learning too that like, you know, I tell this to my friends all the time, and I'm like, you know, what if I just became a mailman? Like, and I just delivered fucking mail all day, you know, and it was like it was a chill job. I like did what but it's not, it's just
those people have their shit too.
They have their shit too, exactly. And that's that's the point, right? Is that like, as you think you just walking around with your AirPods in all day, fucking slinging shit, and you have your route and you do what you gotta do. But in reality, they deal with some crazy ass shit on a day-to-day basis, whether it's getting attacked by dogs or like dealing with their coworkers and the you know, drama that is working for a public agency, you know. But just that I think about more of like the lifestyle difference from like high stakes, super high pressure, lots and lots of money, to more of like a
dogs.
You know, and having a more just a more chill job where it just would provide for more balance. Like, as now I have a boyfriend, right? We've been together for over a year, and we talk about kids, and he's 31. I turn 30 next year, you know, so I'm like, you know, in the next probably 5 years, I probably want to have my first child. And as gay men, it's a very different conversation to have than it is for heterosexual people, because it's such a planned activity in terms of the amount of financial costs and having to find a woman who's willing to do that, you know? So it's a whole thing, but you know, in order to make that happen, I need to have bandwidth enough to raise a family and like have the resources, but also have the time to raise a family, you know? And in my current role, I don't see myself having that right now, you know? But I guess the goal is to reach a level where I feel I've learned enough from this company and possibly, you know, go somewhere that has a bit more balance, right? But provides for, you know, the same level of passion and understanding in the great environment of people, like you said, wherever that next move is. But yeah, it's just tough for right now.
Do you think things will like loosen up that once? I mean, I don't know, man. Once the Delta or Theta,
once we're back.
I don't know. I don't know. Well,
I don't
dude.
think we're going back. I think the idea of normal is gone. I don't think our lives are ever going to be the same. I think that there's always going to be this new thing. I think there's always going to be this strange world that we're in now. There is no normal anymore.
Yeah. Right. What was normal before? I mean, I will say though, there is a certain amount of like, I think we've understood now that COVID's not going anywhere, you know? So whether there's some places we're always gonna have to wear masks now, and it's not like we're the first country to ever fucking do that, you know?
No.
So America, we just feel so taken aback, you know, by things that like are either that or things that we dealt with 100 years ago when we had other plagues, right? You know, where it's like, yeah, COVID, I mean, a vaccine passport is not a new idea, you know? It just was more like you could see the hole in people's arm from the giant needles we had before. And so people would just roll up their shirt and just show like this giant ass imprint, you know? And it was a whole different thing. Now it's like, you know, everything's super politicized as well, you know? And so it just feels extra, I don't know, like it's not going anywhere, and it's not going to also go anywhere because the media and politicians are going to keep riffing on it, you know?
Yeah.
I think that will change. I think as this generation grows up, that is the most, as I grow up, that is the most, the way we have disinformation, the way we spread information has been the biggest disappointment.
Yeah. Well, people just believing it as well, you know, people using the internet, but not actually knowing how to critically think about things that they pick up on the internet, you know?
Yeah.
It drives me wild. I feel like if you took a political science class after 2005, you know, then you should have a very good idea of how to look at misinformation, disinformation. Like there is you have to know that when you're reading something and it's extremely biased, to be like, I should probably go look up what the other people are talking about in it's the same conversation, and then put those two things together and then reach a consensus of like, oh, okay, I understand how this is like how this story came to be, you know?
But it sounds like everybody's like,
and it's a meme, you know, and that's where you're getting your fucking facts from. Then like,
it's like, where are they getting all the
have a good time?
It's like, where are they getting all the facts from? 4chan, you know what I mean? It's like, you know what I mean?
Where I get my
Reddit.
News.
Actually, no, Reddit.
The front page of Reddit is
Reddit's pretty solid though. And I think you're right. I think things are never gonna go back to where it was, and you know, I think, you know, it's not a coincidence that a lot of people aren't returning back to the jobs where the dean was shitty. People are now valuing their mental health more, and they just
thank goodness
things go back.
Yeah, I agree.
And if someone is listening to this right now and they're having a tough time, please go talk to someone. Like, like no one's gonna think that's maybe like 10 years ago. Like, it's like, oh, like you got a thing, but now it's like, dude, I heard the greatest advice from my shrink the other day, and I want to tell you. But so, and we don't have to talk about this if we don't want to talk about this, but like being a white dude, like I get the excuse of like being crunchy granola, but I don't know. Like my parents would never go to a therapist. I don't know about you guys and you know
No. Well, I mean,
your
I think
upbringing.
in minority culture, in Asian culture, no, we don't see therapists. We pray to Buddha.
I went to
And
therapy, like I mean, not a lot, but like when my parents got divorced, I definitely went to therapy, and then like it was more so I was also gay and having to I was dealing with like anger and other I just didn't know why, you know, but it's because I was different, and like I think I went to like a few programs like Landmark Forum, you know, which is like it's kind of a cult type thing, but it's not. It's just more of like you go there and they really try to bring out your emotions and like some of your past traumas, and they explore a lot of like your history, and help you try to move forward and overcome it. And it was like it's pretty much like group therapy sessions, you know, that they do there. And like I went through a program like that once, and then I just had a normal therapist I saw at Kaiser. And then I went back to therapy when my great grandmother passed away, like maybe like 7 or 8 years ago. Just through it's fine. It's like just she was very old. It was just more so like through the college. I also I was curious because we're paying this tuition, and I was like, we definitely get free. Like you get three free therapy sessions like at this institution. So I was like, I wonder what this is gonna be like, you know?
Yeah.
And so I did, and I went to all three, and I had a great therapist. But after three, the system is so fucked up that they're like, okay, you had your 3 sessions, that's all you get, and now there's another person in line waiting to like take your place, and we can't offer you any other resources, you know. But growing up, I will say,
hope you figured it out. Yeah.
No, totally. Yeah. But growing up, I definitely my parents were, my dad not so much, but my mom was like really big on you need to talk to someone and getting it off your plate, you know, or getting it out of your brain. But and I think that's lasted with me through my life. And now like I haven't seen a therapist in a while, but like, you know, I just talked to one recently, and it felt really like I'm like, wow, I cannot like dump all of this on my friends, you know, or like the people, like my family or my boyfriend or whoever. Like everybody needs an outlet or someone. You can still talk to your friends about a lot of your different problems, and I highly encourage you to do so, especially if you're feeling like you're carrying a weight on your shoulders. But like, there's nothing like talking to someone who has a completely objective opinion, who cannot say shit to anybody about anything, and just having that safe space, you know.
I know that during the well, not even during, like even like right now, like mental health has been a big issue, especially when it comes to like the suicide rate amongst adults and kids. And it's still, and especially with the numbers between of males, you know, because males, you know, growing up, especially being from the Central Valley and of parents from a different culture, we don't talk about our problems. We internalize it, let it bottle up, and then punch a wall. That was it. We drink whiskey, punch walls.
Yeah.
And it comes and that's not a healthy outlet, and it's just not healthy for you mentally either. And Garrett's right. There is, if you ever feel like you need to talk to somebody or there's something going on, you have to talk to someone. And we do have to normalize it too. You know, you can't just be like, oh, you're a pussy, you know, or like, oh, man up, rub some dirt on it. If someone has the courage to come up to you as a friend and goes like, hey, I'm not feeling well, you can't just be like, drink some whiskey, jerk off, you're fine. You know what I mean? You can't, not simple solution.
Don't be such a bitch. Yeah.
And it could just be like the small things, like, oh man, I'm having a bad day. And maybe it doesn't take that much effort to be why or how, or can you elaborate? Don't be like, oh, can you elaborate? It'd be like, oh, what's up? Just be like, what's up? You good? And if they choose to elaborate on it more, then you know they needed to talk to somebody. And then we have to normalize it. We can't use, you know, toxic masculinity as a means to just shut them down. If somebody has the courage to come up to you, you have to, you know, you have to be there for them.
Yeah.
Because they chose you for a reason.
Yeah.
I will say,
or get them into a space where they can see someone. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah, like it's not, you definitely should listen to them and help them. Such a weird line though. Like, but again, if you are not in a position to sustain them,
exactly,
like, it's also okay for you to be like, one, I care about you, and two, I want to be there for you, but like this seems like it needs to be you need to see a professional and someone that can hold you in this space and give you objective feedback. Because I also hate X, Y, and Z, and it's not healthy for me to just like, yeah, fuck, it's not you, fuck everyone else. Like,
totally,
yeah.
Yeah, but
because being a friend and being a therapist are different, you know.
They are different.
Yeah,
Different.
and a friend is like someone who you may not even tell them, but you're like, I just need you to listen right now, you know, and you can kind of pop off and do your thing. And your friend is not really going to judge you because they're like, oh, they just had a shitty day at work, and you know, it's whatever. But like, it's a whole other thing to like what Eric said, like go to a friend and be like, look, I'm struggling, or I'm not in a good headspace right now, and that's a lot of pressure to put on another person as well to like help you resolve that, you know. So we also have to be cognizant that our friends may not be in the best headspace themselves and be able to help us out of our kind of dark places too. So I would agree with Garrett, but we still all have to be human, you know. And like there's certain situations, I mean, that's why I love going to music festivals and concerts, right? Because I see so many humans that don't know other humans doing very kind things, or interactions, and just seeing these like little intricate, I don't know, situations that pop up and happen, because they're just so pure in a lot of different ways, and they're so human, you know. And it grounds me, and it reminds me of my humanity, and it makes me realize, like, you know, we really are all in this together, even if it doesn't feel like it. We're still all breathing the same air, and, you know, eating the same things and drinking the same water. And I don't know. That's why I don't I can't be a conservative, I guess. but you know, it's just a very different way of looking kind of at the world, and taking the world on, you know, is understanding that, you know, I want to be there for other people, and I will create the space as much as I can, even if I may be struggling a little bit myself, right? And I think a lot of our friends, Eric, have that kind of in them, is that we all are struggling in various different ways, but we always make time for one another. Or if somebody is going through something, like we rally around them and raise them up. And like, that's, you know, that's why we're friends. And that's like friends who are family as well, you know, people who I would go to bat for any day of the week, and like feel very confident and strongly about that, you know. And that's taken a while to form and grow and, you know, invest in, with time and experience and everything. But it's like so worth it, whether it's the memories or, I don't know, the memories that come. It just feels very much like, you know, life is what you make it. And you have to surround yourself with people that are, you know, good people.
If you're not mentally well to handle a situation, you have to be vocal about it. You can't just sit there and have it fall to like deaf ears, you know. You have to be vocal and be like, after the first or second time, you'd be like, hey, I don't think I can handle this. You have to be vocal about it too. And the same can be said for the other side. Like, you can't be upset at that friend who is not ready to handle your situation. You know,
they're reciprocating your honesty.
Yeah, if they're honest to you, you have to take it, you know, and you have to seek help. And there's a lot of, you know, also with the whole pandemic, it's changed the way medical services have been offered. Like, if you want to see a therapist, you can find one online. You can do online therapy sessions.
Yeah, I get ads all the time for like random startup ones where they're like apps for texting or something.
Just
and if they suck, go to a different one. If they suck, you're not married to them. Go to a different one.
You know, that's the hardest part though, is that a lot of people, they reach out, they get the help, and then they have a shitty therapist or psychiatrist or psychologist, and then they literally, it turns them off so much that they never go back, you know. Either the psychologist like blames them for the problem, or they just have some traumatic experience with it. But if you get a good one the first time or the second time, then it really can change your life, or at least leave the door open to seeking it later when you might need it, and that's super important.
So my experience with mental health, before Kate and I got married, we went to a marriage counselor. We're great. And man, I'm so lucky that I'm married to this wonderful person who strengthens me and kind of calls me on my shit because I need that. And like the way that she approached me was like, look, I love you very much and we have a great relationship. I want to go to counseling to establish that baseline. So if something ever does go wrong, like we have someone to go to who knows us. Like we're going to counseling because things are good and we're going to do this as maintenance. And whether we choose to do it or not, that's fine, but we need to take the step. You don't always have to wait until, you don't always have to wait until shit is falling apart to go see a counselor. Like, if you're just interested, like Lance, you just talked about this, like if you're just interested in the experience of just being able to be like, I wonder what it would be like to just talk to someone, go for it.
Right.
Like, you don't have to wait until shit is falling apart and you're at your wit's end.
Yeah, and you shouldn't. I agree with that, it's just like a primary care physician,
Yeah.
If you have a relationship with your doctor who knows your body, they know what you've been through, they know, your history, and they're able to work with you as an individual and get to know you. And it's even more so on the psychological level, on mental, where it's like, they know if you open up to them, they can really start to let you or start to help you like unravel a lot of your history and understanding. But even then, even if you just want someone to talk to you, like you said, just openly be like, yo, I like some people move to new cities and they can't meet people. And, not to say that you should just go get a psychologist right away or a therapist, but like that would be super, super useful to be able to say, look, I'm struggling to meet people in this new town. And this is how I'm feeling right now, and they may not be able to say, oh, go to this bar and you'll find like all these people, but they'll definitely be able to give you pointers around like ways to keep yourself in the right headspace to meet people, when that opportunity does come show its head, they can really kind of set you up for success.
Yeah. Or you can invite a friend to dinner, agree to split the bill, and then unload your problems, then they can't leave. Especially the bill's over $100. Then they're trapped.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. But yeah, it's mental health. Get it checked out if you think you need to talk to someone, because it's a serious thing. You're not a pussy. We all have problems, and
you're important.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, if you could just rub dirt on it, then fuck yeah. I mean, I wish that could happen.
That's just not the way your brain works.
Yeah.
Like if your ankle is injured, you're gonna go see a doctor. Like if your tooth falls out, you're gonna see a dentist. Like if you go through emotional trauma, you should see a professional. But your brain is injured. Like you need to go get that looked at.
Mm-hmm.
Like
and too many people don't, and they don't know why they're doing some of the things that they're doing or reacting to some of the things, or they're stuck in a certain cycle that they're trying to get out of and they feel like it's impossible to get out of it,
and how isolating that is. Like no one will understand. It's like, no, people will understand, and there's no guilt associated with that. Just go check it out.
The one thing though, just don't blast it on Facebook. It's just it's just
goodness.
like I understand. Like we're all
I've definitely done that in my like teen years. I'm like, I was just like,
I'm guilty of vaguely posting song lyrics of some random shit.
Yeah.
Of hoping that someone would take the bait. Don't do stuff like that. Just talk to someone.
That's for Tumblr. That's not a Facebook thing.
Don't fish for it, just come out with it, just rip it off like a Band-Aid. But just keep your drama off Facebook, please.
Yeah. It's not a cute look. It's just like, I think there's a certain amount of that. Like I look at my Facebook memories sometimes from like years
Ooh.
ago, and I'm like, oof, these are
Ooh.
cringy. Like I definitely
So
I go
cringy.
through it and delete some stuff, and I'm like, yeah, these are not. I remember when like Facebook, I don't know why we were talking in third person, but we would just answer these questions like, what's on your mind? Well, I don't think it was what's on your mind before.
What was it? It was
Yeah.
like I am or something.
I am.
I feel.
Dot. You know.
Yeah.
And it was like, or Lance feels, and it was just like such
Oh,
a.
yeah,
I was like, this is so.
Baby, yeah.
It's terrible, you know. But it was important for me to look back now and see like that's how I felt in that moment, and this was my outlet to just put it out somewhere. Even though I what everybody else did before the internet was like write it down on a piece of paper and throw it away, or in a journal or something and lock it away. It's like now you have this other place where other people can commiserate with you, even all through the feeling of a like, you know, before you even had any other reactions, you know, but you just felt not as alone in what you were going. That's how I felt, like not as alone in what I was going through, even though I was posting some pretty kind of crazy serious things.
What they call it? They call it like pain porn or something, like, right? Where or like sad porn or sympathy porn.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. I mean, if I saw I wish I had the password to my MySpace still, because like the MySpace bulletins I used to write. Oh, dude, Eric Cyberstern, 18-year-old love life was like. It was.
You know,
cringe.
that's so. To your coming to your defense, though, like. I think learning how to use these platforms is a learning curve that everyone has had to go through.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Like, I think that everyone, and I think that leads to kind of circling back to what we were talking about earlier with social media and information.
Yeah.
Like journalists are trying to figure out this new space. And I think right now, like we haven't been doing this, we've had the internet as we know it for maybe like 15 years. And I think it's just turned into people yelling at each other because we don't really know how to use it yet. But I hope, and I don't know if you guys see the same thing, but I do think that we're seeing this shift in consciousness now that we have any and all information. We're a generation that demands transparency, and we're a generation that demands fairness.
I don't know. I think
the generation after us.
It's after us, yeah, probably, because right now I think the internet is an echo chamber.
Because we still grew up without it.
Yeah, it's still
to an extent, you know. But the generation after us, they're able to, like, you know, at 2 years old, open an iPad and be able to know that there's people. There's different types of Asian people in the world. Unlike how when I grew up, I could swear it was only Chinese people, you know. And then it, like growing up in the Bay Area, that clearly I got educated very fast, but it was still that idea of it in media was it, you know.
From all the information we know, I think it's funny still when I tell people that Africa's not a country.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, because Africa's not a country. It's
totally. It's a
country.
Continent.
Yeah. When people are like, oh, the country Africa. I was like, is it a country though? Like, is it?
Yeah.
But also learning that as we get older, that like almost no Americans have passports, you know, like, or leave the country in general.
Yeah, they spend their entire lives in maybe their even home state. Yeah.
Yeah, that's mine. I mean, after leaving the country and living abroad for like 9 months to a year, I thoroughly. Like, everybody needs to get a passport and leave the country, you know, to see what real poverty is like, to see what just a whole different culture is like, being able to adapt and be like, feel unsafe, you know, or feel safe in a whole foreign land, more safe than you would in your hometown, you know?
So you're saying everybody from North SoCal should go to Tulare?
Sure.
That is a dangerous.
They need a heli go to Tulare.
I mean the south side of Fresno, but that's
I mean, go to Africa, like even like anywhere on the continent, you know, and just get, like meet people, talk to people, like it's a vibe, you know. And even go to Europe, I still need to visit an Asian country, you know.
Go to TJ.
Go to fucking Mexico, you know.
It was a good time.
Maybe don't go to TJ, but
I don't go to TJ. But yeah, I think it's It's getting a little late, so I'm gonna put a cap to this right now.
Can we end with this question real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the question is, if we're gonna land it, if you are stuck on a deserted island, one movie, one album, one book. You can take a second to think about it.
Yeah.
Like you're stuck on a desert island for
one
like
movie?
2 months. One movie, one album, and one book. What would it be?
American Pie 2.
Let's do movies first. Let's go around and say movies first. Good. So American Pie 2 for your.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Mine would be I don't know. I'm like stuck between
I'll go while you think about it.
Yeah, go.
So I don't know if you guys have seen this movie, Wes Anderson's Grand Budapest Hotel.
Yeah, of course. Totally.
I love that movie. Every time I watch it, I notice new things about it. I'm like, oh.
Really? Over Royal Tenenbaums?
Royal Tenenbaums is I get in, like, I love my family, but not watching a dysfunctional family is up my alley.
I think Gwyneth Paltrow just sells that movie for me, but that's
I don't disagree with you.
And Owen and Luke Wilson. I mean, the Wilson brothers.
I don't disagree with you.
I love that you love them, Eric.
Or like what was the other? You know what? Okay, this is not the part of the question, but like Moonrise Kingdom is a really good movie.
It's a great movie,
except for that weird child's makeout scene. I was like, oh, but other than that, it's a great movie. I like the themes and how it's all brought together. Yeah,
Wes Anderson's his movies are dope. I like them.
I can't wait for the French press to come out. But go ahead, Lance.
I would go with The Notebook. Yeah, it's like one of the only movies I've ever bought on DVD. You know,
got it,
and then bought it again in Blu-ray because I was like, yeah, I need to just have this.
It's super comforting.
Yeah, and like it's long enough where the deserted island, like I'd be like, okay, cool, like I can watch like half of it and go play in the water for a bit, and then the other half. But there's something about that movie that it's just so good, and the ending and everything. I'm a sucker for romance and stuff like that. Yeah. So definitely The Notebook.
Love it. Musical album.
It probably would have to be something EDM related, like what have I listened to a lot? Above and Beyond.
Oh yeah. Dude, you should pick the Above and Beyond the Sydney album tour, dude, because it has all their best hits in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you haven't heard it? It's on Spotify. It's like go Above and Beyond the Sydney. It's a Sydney Opera House tour. It's the entire album. But
your mind's about to be blown.
What? Okay, I need to send it to me. But yeah, Above and Beyond. What's the album, Eric? It's not Tri-State, not Air for Life. Fucking. It's the one with the ribbons. I have to look it up. But yeah, go. Whoever's.
Where is it? It's the Group Therapy.
Group Therapy, yeah. That's like, I've listened to that so many times. That album got me through college. That album got me through like finals. Like,
yeah.
The fact that it's been, I think that came out, what year, Eric? Like 2011, 2012, you know? And it's been 10 years and I can still listen to some of those songs and like, I still cry sometimes listening to certain tracks, and I'm like, yeah, this is it. And they've made so much more music since then, and I still love their music. But that album is like the one.
It's good, dude. Like, as a straight masculine male, there have been certain EDM songs where it brought me close to tears. Plus, I'm pretty blitzed, but like that doesn't negate the feelings I have felt.
Absolutely.
I always cry if I get like super drunk and there's a moment where I'm like alone. I'm like, oh, finally, I can just do this for like 2 or 3 minutes, just feel good about it. My life is great. It wasn't always that way, but I'm like, oh fuck yeah, I can finally just enjoy. Yeah, a good cry.
A good cry.
Damn. You're making me think of this song. It's by Radwimps, the guys who did the soundtrack for Your Name and Weathering with You, which is an animated movie.
Yeah.
It's song. I think the song is called Sekai, which is so good. It's about like childhood friends and death. And I remember I was telling Lance, I was watching the music video. I was like, or just them playing the song. I was like, why the fuck are people just crying in the audience? And then I looked up the lyrics because I loved it because before I saw the video, like I was
like bawling,
like crying. But it's about like friendship and loss and like trying to move on in life. But when I first heard it without knowing what the lyrics were, before I saw the music video, I was like, this is such a happy song. I'm feeling so much joy. But then I was like, oh fuck. But my album, I had to figure out the name for it. It was I think it's If You Leave by Daughter. Like
If You Leave by Daughter.
It is. I love Daughter. Like
he loves Daughter. That's why I'm like, this
fucking love Daughter. It's
I'm gonna look it up right now.
They're so good. They're a band from London. Yeah, I think they play out of London now. It's made up of 3 people. I think they have 4 person, but it's just like this indie rock that sometimes has a synth to it. And goddamn, the production is so good. I've seen them live like 3-4 times, and the production to the shows is just amazing, man. And that album has so many good songs where it just takes you on this
screenshot it. I'll listen to them later.
Yeah, my favorite song is called Youth. And
okay. Yeah, it's the second one. That's the second most played.
It's like
Medicine, Youth, and Smother.
I think the reason why Medicine is played a lot is because actually Youth has the most plays. Because Youth has 200 million, Medicine has like 130 million. I know because I'm looking at it right now, and Youth is my favorite song. So, but Medicine was on Grey's Anatomy. That's why that song's popular.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, but that album has a lot of songs that will help me. That will run my memories through a loop. And when you're on like a deserted island, you need something that will keep you sane. And the only way to do that is to like remember the life that you have and jerk off to the titties in American Pie 2.
Oh my god. Album, and then we'll go book, and then we'll be done with this thing. Album for me, Fall Out Boy from Under the Cork Tree.
Oh, that's a
great one. That was a good album for me. I love that. All right, book, and then we'll get out of here.
All right. Book for me would be Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire.
Oh, such a...
Yeah, that's definitely my
favorite. You wanted that over The Prisoner of Azkaban?
Yeah. For me, it's like The Prisoner of Azkaban is great, but I was just so into the action of book 4. I feel like other books, there's other action that happens, but this is like they're writing in action style. It's not like you're actually writing about actions that are happening with dragons and some crazy shit. Versus like
Goblet of Fire is where like the plot gets big. It's like, oh, this is a whole thing now.
Yeah.
4 cruxes. This is a whole
like the ministry, like shit is like real, and it just
things go wrong.
It closes up a lot of it. Well, not closes up, but it extrapolates a lot of the thoughts from the first 3 books, and I feel like it prepares you for the next 3 books, and like it's just really, really well done. Definitely my favorite Harry Potter by far.
Fair enough.
You really start to see that the characters are older. Like they're becoming like adults.
It's such a loss of innocence.
Totally. And like I love that because I also aged with these characters as well, and I felt like I could see myself kind of losing that innocence as I was reading. I don't know, it's pretty fucking nuts. So
side note, Daniel Radcliffe is so good in Miracle Workers. If you haven't seen it, the first 2 seasons.
Seen it. You said that in the chat earlier too, and I was like,
so good.
Miracle.
Have you seen it?
No.
The first 2 seasons is on it's on HBO Max. Like Steve Belushi's in it, right? Is that him?
Yeah.
No, is that him? The guy who's like the crazy eyes from Little Nicky. Is that Steve Belushi?
Buscemi.
Buscemi, yeah.
Yeah.
He's in it. And it has a good actors. I totally forgot their names, but it's written by I think Simon Rich. I could be wrong on that name. Another good writer, but Daniel Radcliffe, like he's such a good actor, dude, and the roles he plays in that show, so good.
Nice.
He is great.
Yeah, not as hot as Emma Watson, but go ahead, Garrett.
A book, Count of Monte Cristo.
Ooh.
Count of Monte. It's huge, but it's such a great story with so many little side stories. That would be my book. It's big enough that it would be very entertaining. I think that would be a great thing if you haven't had a chance to read it, or even just watch the movie.
Or the Wishbone episode.
Is there a Wishbone Count of Monte Cristo? Oh,
there is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
You pulled that one. That's such a millennial reference. That's like,
I haven't
wow.
thought about that in a long, long time.
Yeah, dude, it sucked that Arthur is finally ending after 25 years. That show grew up with us.
Yeah.
Arthur, yeah.
Literally.
SpongeBob's still going though. It shows you where we're at.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, Sesame Street's still on there too, you know, right?
Good. Well, good.
Yeah. Not as good as Avenue Q, but
Sesame Street?
Yeah, dude. You ever seen Avenue Q?
No.
It's like I saw a student production of it. It's like a adult version of Sesame Street. It's so funny.
Like, oh my god, yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
You have to see it.
That's so old. That's like E-Bomb's World, like videos of them like talking over the Muppets and stuff. Like it's I don't know.
No, it's an actual Broadway show.
Oh, got it. Like so, it's an actual. Okay, got it.
It's a Broadway show. Yeah.
I just remember like when seeing like before memes were memes in the current time, there was like E-Bomb's World, which is just a website that had a whole bunch of like funny videos and weird multimedia things on it and like GIF type things. And there was one that was like it was like the Sesame Street or the Muppets or like Sesame Street characters, but they all had like knives and weed and like
no.
I don't know. It was
maybe that's where Avenue Q
originated from. I don't know, totally.
It's like they were on they did a guest thing for the Chappelle Show.
Oh.
Was that them? I think that was them. But yeah, so my book would be John Green's Paper Towns.
Okay.
I don't know if have you guys read that book? It's a young adult book.
No, but from what I understand, it's like map makers used to make fake towns to see if people were copying their maps.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Then people actually went to those towns that were fake and started towns. So like people would be like, "You copy my map, that's fake," and they're like, "No, I went there. People are there." And the person that made the map and made it, he's like, "Wait, what? People went there? I just made a place. No, yeah, there's a town there now."
Yeah, it's just so the plot of that book is this is super. I started reading John Green. Paper Town was my first John Green book.
John Green is such a great YouTube celebrity / author.
Yeah, he
does history stuff too, right?
He does. He did a really good thing on Israel and Palestine that I enjoyed. But I'm not gonna get into that in this video. But it's but so Paper Towns was the first John Green book I read that I bought from Borders at Stone Sound. I remember like I think this is like because I've always been interested in like creative writing, right? And I was
Stone Sound was the mall near SF.
Yeah.
By the way. Yeah.
Next to Olive Garden, breadsticks. But like reading Paper Towns actually really got me into like wanting to write more or just wanting to create stories because all the books I've read, I never really was into them because I had this mentality like, oh man, okay, I'm not gonna say the name who said this, but like I remember in high school, I remember like I was studying and this person was like, reading is for, F words, and I was like, I'm not gay. I don't want to read, but so I never got into reading until like college. But Paper Towns, it's about this boy who goes on an adventure with a girl who he has a crush on for a long time, who lives in the house next door, and then she disappears. So it's like a mystery novel where he tries to retrace her steps and find her. So it's just the whole character story where he just breaks out of his shell and goes on this adventure. Like I love adventure, and it kind of feels that adventure romance style and adventure mystery romance. It was all that in one, and it was written really well. I loved it. The movie's good too. It is not as great as the book, but if you don't want to read the book, I say watch the movie. Also, Searching for Alaska is good. The miniseries is on Hulu, and the miniseries is actually pretty good.
I love that all the books we named are watchable on movie. So,
Yeah.
That's a good
The
thing.
book is so much better though.
No, totally.
Yeah, because books helps you with your imagination. Books is a different subject. I'm gonna end this video. I'm gonna click out of this. So, all right, everybody, thank you for your time, and hopefully, you guys learned a little bit about what's going on with yourself and your jobs, and if you need to talk to somebody, and I think that's it. I don't know. Goodbye.